An year ago, I built this dashboard as an example of a customizable dashboard in Angular. So for example, you can move your widgets around here like this. These widgets are basically custom components that you can add or reduce as you wanted. You can add widgets from here, you can remove widgets here, and you can put them back here. You can also resize the widgets as you can see. So you can go in edit mode, settings here, and it's going to resize these widgets here. So the concept was to make a dashboard that your users can change and modify according to their own need. You can use it for SaaS admins, you can use it for other products as well, in which you want your users to customize these things. But soon after I actually created this and released it on my channel as a tutorial, I got quite a lot of feedback. So there were basically two problems. So the first one was that the resize for this is a bit difficult. So it is bad UX. So if I go to the dashboard here, you'll see that you have to edit it and you have to go in settings and you have to change the resize here. A lot of people were interested in more handlebar based resizing, for example, a bar here and we could resize it just like it is in other third party grid layout libraries like Gridster and all of those. But at that point, it felt a bit difficult for me technically. And obviously, it was also a bit difficult to explain in coding tutorial because it was the pre AI era where we used to do everything by hand. So I did not add that at that point. The second issue was that the positioning is not really reliable. So in this dashboard, basically, we have auto flow layout, you could see. So if, for example, we get a widget here and we move a widget here, you're going to see that all of the other widgets, they move down automatically to the next line. So we have little precise positioning options here. So when I drag it, for example, in a place, you will see that when I push this here, other widgets also start moving here and there, okay? So the users were looking for precise positioning based on grid and row layout instead of this auto position that I had. So this was the second issue, and it's because it flows with the grid layout, okay? So I set out to resolve these two issues, of course, using agentic coding because that's what I do nowadays, and that's what every software developer should do nowadays. As a result, I came up with Angular Dashboard 2.0. Now, this is the new version of my Angular dashboard, and it has handlebar based smooth resizing and precise positioning with the drag and drop. And also, it has bonus, it has a clean architecture, which your agents can also change because of its easy to use structure. Okay, so if I show you that in a bit, this is the new dashboard that we have. There's no edit mode here, so there's this one less thing for users to do. When users hover over a widget, they get these nice handlebars here and a delete button. Very simple. And when you click on the handlebar, you can see these smooth options here that you can resize. And you can also see this blue snap bar, a blue snap preview, which I call the ghost. So this ghost basically tells you where it's going to snap on the grid. The grid itself is a 12 column grid. So we had to make the grid about a bit fixed in columns so that it would work as we wanted to. And we can also resize down here. Another thing to see is how the widgets are moving down here. So it's detecting the collisions. There is a specific placement engine which detects the collision with the active widget and the other widget, and it moves down in a vertical position so that it can make way for that. All right. So this was the resize thing, and you can see how smooth it is. So this was the first thing. The precise positioning is the second thing. Okay. So here, as I showed you, when we move here, things other widgets also started moving. For example, this widget went here, which should not have. So in this case, if you move a widget here, you are going to only move this widget and it's much more precise positioning. And you can precisely position things. For example, you want to move the channel analytics here, you can move this here, you can move this here, and you can get the layout that you want exactly. You don't have to worry about the grid layout adjusting itself. And a great thing about this is that the other grid widgets are going to automatically move themselves around here and there. And it's really fun to actually do. I've been playing around with this since I made this. It's really nice. I really like it. Okay. And of course, as before in the dashboard, all of this layout is basically being persisted in Firestore. Now, this is a demo version. As you can see, I have two variations of my dashboard here. So there's a demo version and there is a Firebase version, which is the default. So this is the demo version, and in the demo version, it's stored in local storage. So when you refresh, your layout is going to be persisted here. So as you can see, it is refreshed now, and the layout was persisted. You can change the you can change the ordering here, and when you refresh it, you're going to see that it's going to persist here. Okay, so this is the local storage version, but for the Firestore version, it's going to persist in your Firestore document. That means that each user can have their own specific dashboard when they rearrange it as part of your application or as part of your SaaS. Okay, so this I am releasing as in early release as a paid template as I did before. 2 weeks from now, this is going to be in early release on a discounted version. So if you want to get this template and build upon it or use it for your own SaaS products, you are most welcome to do this, and you can get it from the link in the description, where you can get it as a form of the private GitHub repository so that you can get future updates to this as well. And of course, if you have already bought this previous version, as promised, you're going to get the new version for free. So if you already have that, you can get this for free by going to your Polar customer portal, and you can access the private GitHub repository with the latest code. Okay, moving forward, I want to tell you a bit about how the application here is structured, because I've tried to keep this template follow a clean architecture, as I said here. The bonus is that the new version of 2.0 has a very clean architecture with divisions along the stores so that humans and AI agents can also understand it better so that you can modify it further as well. Okay. So I just wanted to give you an overview of that layering and that structure so that you can appreciate how complex functionalities like this resizing and moving and dragging functionality has been implemented for the dashboard. So let's start with the basic architecture. So we have a 3-layered architecture, which I like to keep for all of my Angular applications, specifically which should stand the test of time and which should be production applications which users will use. I have an architecture where I keep the component, which is the main user-facing layer, as thin components. Okay. Now, what do I mean by thin components? In our case, we have this dashboard, and in the dashboard, we have these sub-components as widgets. Okay, so these are the two components that we have. Very simple. And also these components themselves are not really implemented that heavily, so they don't have any business logic in them. Basically, they just receive signals from our store and they send event to the stores. Okay, so this is all these components are responsible for. And this makes it really easy for us to visualize the data, because all of the data and the functionality then remains in the stores that we have. Now, you can use any store that you would like to, store management library that you want. But in my case, my favorite is the NGRX Signal Store. It works really well. It is simple, lightweight, and it gets the job done. Notice that I have said stores here. So this is not basically one store. Dashboard stores is a collection of stores which interact with each other. I'll tell you more about this in the next slide. So this is the store function, and the stores basically are the brain, you could say, of the application, of the dashboard functionality at least. So the dashboard functionality is orchestrated, managed. All of the state that you see on the UI, the transient state, is all managed in the store here like that. Okay. By the transient state, what I mean is that when you drag here a widget like this, and this whole view, this whole view is being stored in one of the stores in the NGRX Signal stores here, so that we can see it on the components here. So all of that state and all of those functionality, the functions that are being called and the coordination is being done by the Signal stores. Okay. Next, we have the service, which is basically just meant in my case for the input output function. So it contains, in our case, the Firebase functionality and also the local storage functionality for the demo version. And basically, we just fetch the dashboard layout, the whole thing, and we save that layout when we have committed a change there. So when we have resized it, when we stop dragging here, this is the point where we actually call the service. And when we start dragging and stop dragging here, this is basically when we call the function. It's all reactive and automatic. We don't need to call a save function explicitly, so that your dashboard remains in sync with what your user is designing. Okay. So this is the last leg, which is the service. It's the persistence, or you could say the layer in the service, so that in the future, if you change the implementation, you only have to change in the service itself. You don't worry about the store itself. Okay. All right, so this was the basic architecture, but there's a lot going on in the NGRX Signal Stores section as well. So I'm going to zoom in next on this Signal Store section. Okay, so these are the stores that we have for this management stuff. So we have 3 stores basically: the view store, then we have the persistence store, and then we have the drag coordinator. Okay, now these are pretty self-explanatory, so it's really easy for us humans to understand as well. And as an extension or as a side effect, AI agents can also understand it really well and make changes for it in the future. I've made it as maintainable as I could. Okay. So the view store is basically what interacts with the component. So as you can see, the component takes the state from the view store and it sends events to the view store. And the view store then communicates with the persistent store, which is basically the persistent store is responsible for managing the saving and the fetching. All right. And then we have the drag coordinator store. So this store is basically the brains behind all of the resize and all of the visual things that you see on the UI, the algorithmic stuff. That's all contained in the drag coordinator. And basically the view store called begin resize or begin drag when you start dragging and start resizing. And the commit maybe when you say fetch the layout there. The drag coordinator then has other sort of small, you could say, modules or you could say helpers that helps it to calculate all of the different things that it needs for managing all of the interaction. Okay. So we have a pointer session management here. We have the drag session management here. We have a placement engine, which basically manages all of the collisions as you see here. So this is a collision that is happening. So all of this is managed by this placement engine here, which is a separate implementation. So the drag coordinator basically manages all of this stuff and it exposes that data as a signal and which is then read by the view store, and view store then shows that on the component so that we can see this nice visualization of how the widgets are moving here and there. Okay, this is a drill down of the overall structure, and with AI agentic coding, this structure, this architecture, all of this layout becomes really important because the AI agents are really good at doing all of the implementation details. So this is the layout or the structure that I have, the basic architecture and the detailed architecture. And obviously, if you want more information, I can reveal that in a future video if you'd like to. But this is just to give you an idea that this template is well structured. It is well structured for future maintainability. And if you use it in your projects or in your production applications, you can use it with confidence that humans and also AI agents can modify it according to your needs. So I hope you like this basic overview, architecture overview, and a demo of what the Angular Dashboard 2 is turning out to be. Again, a reminder that it is available on the link in the description. If I show you the sales page, I have also revamped that sales page on my website here. You can now get a nice video and you can get now a detailed video of how the layout works, the two configurations that you can use, and what features they provide. A fact section here as well. Check the link in the description. For this 2 week period, this early release period is going to be at a discounted price. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time in another video.